What's up, guys? Many NFL legends will be able to brag about spending their entire careers with one team. This includes the likes of Tom Brady, Troy Aikman, Jim Brown, Terry Bradshaw, and probably Aaron Rodgers. For most NFL legends, we usually associate their names with just one or two teams. However, it's easy to forget that some of these all-time greats actually had some very forgettable brief stops with some of your favorite clubs. And we're here to bring back those fond memories for you and your team. So let's dive in and look at one former NFL star that you totally forgot played for your favorite team. Make sure to subscribe to TPS and put on your notifications because we post videos all the time. New videos all the time. Subscribe. Arizona Cardinals. Gary Clark. The four-time Pro Bowl wideout was an instrumental part of the Washington Redskins dynasty, leading them to a pair of Super Bowl championships. However, it's easy to forget that Clark had a 2-year stop with the Cardinals, joining them for the 1993 season. He posted some solid numbers there, but nothing close to what we saw in Washington. Clark played his final season for the Miami Dolphins in '95. Atlanta Falcons. Brett Favre. The longtime Falcons fans know about this one, but we wouldn't blame any of you lifelong Atlanta supporters if you refuse to tell your kids about the Brett Favre trade fiasco. The Atlanta Falcons drafted Favre with the 33rd selection in 1991, but he only attempted 4 passes for them in his rookie year. 2 of them were interceptions. The other 2 were incomplete. Atlanta traded Favre to the Green Bay Packers after just 1 season. He only went on to win 3 MVP awards and a Super Bowl. Oh, how different things could have been if they kept him. Baltimore Ravens. Deion Sanders. Everybody knows that Prime Time began his career with the Atlanta Falcons. Then he won a Super Bowl ring with the San Francisco 49ers. And everybody remembers him joining the Dallas Cowboys, where Sanders won another ring. Sanders retired after playing the 2000 season with the Washington Redskins. Young Ravens fans probably don't know that he came out of retirement to play for the Ravens in 2004 and 5. It's pretty amazing to think that the Ravens once boasted Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs, and the greatest corner ever, all at the same time. Sanders was well past his prime at this point, which is why we totally forget that he played in Baltimore. Buffalo Bills. Terrell Owens. Hard to believe that this Hall of Fame wide receiver bounced around time and time again throughout his career, even if his personality was hard to deal with. We all remember T.O. with the 49ers, Eagles, and Cowboys. And he even played a year with Chad Ochocinco and the Cincinnati Bengals. But hold on one second. This guy joined the Buffalo Bills? When was that? Oh yeah, in 2009. How do we forget? Owens was one of the few bright spots on a mediocre Buffalo team, catching 55 passes for 829 yards and 5 touchdowns. He joined the Bengals for his final NFL season in 2010. Carolina Panthers. Reggie White. As you all know, White started out his career in Philadelphia, where he played for 8 seasons. White then signed with the Packers in 1993 and became one of the greatest free agent pickups ever, leading the Cheeseheads to a Super Bowl 31 championship. White retired after the 98 season, despite a strong year where he tallied 16 sacks. The retirement was very brief, however, as White came back to join the Carolina Panthers for the 2000 season. White would retire for good after his 1-year stop in Carolina. It was so brief, and it happened 2 decades ago, so it's hard to remember that this NFL icon spent 1 year with a fairly young Carolina franchise. Cincinnati Bengals. Garrison Hurst. Before he became a household name in San Francisco, Hurst spent his first 3 seasons with the Cardinals. He actually had a 1-year stop in Cincinnati in 1996. Hurst performed well with 847 rushing yards, but in typical Bengals fashion, they let a star player get away. Hurst would join the 49ers and become a 2-time Pro Bowler, and he was on the cover of the European version of Madden NFL 99. Chicago Bears. Doug Flutie. He is widely regarded as one of the greatest CFL players of all time. He won 3 Grey Cups and was named the league's most outstanding player 6 times. He also enjoyed some success with the New England Patriots, and he was a 1998 Pro Bowl selection for the Buffalo Bills. But it's easy to forget that he spent his first 2 NFL seasons with the Chicago Bears, from 1986 to 87. He only started 2 games before moving on to the Patriots. Cleveland Browns. Mark Rypien. He's a legend in Washington, where he won 2 Super Bowls. He was a backup for the first, but the 2-time Pro Bowler would lead the Redskins to a Super Bowl 26 victory over Buffalo. He won Super Bowl MVP honors as well. He would leave the Redskins after the 1993 season, and he joined the Cleveland Browns in 1994. That was also as a backup. He would start 3 games there, winning 2 of them, before joining the St. Louis Rams in 1995. Cleveland, you had a Super Bowl MVP as your quarterback once. Oh wait, he didn't win it for your team. Sorry, that was my bad. Maybe Baker, who knows. Dallas Cowboys, Eddie George. The 4-time Pro Bowl back played with the Houston Oilers, Tennessee Titans franchise from 1996 to 2003. He was named Offensive Rookie of the Year in '96, and George guided the Titans to a Super Bowl 34 appearance where they lost to the Rams. Following a strong 2003 season in which he had 1,031 yards and 5 touchdowns, George signed with the Cowboys in 2004. But Bill Parcells only used George in a backup role behind Julius Jones. George had 432 yards on 132 carries in what turned out to be his final season in the NFL. Denver Broncos, Tony Dorsett. Quarterback Roger Staubach was the face of the Dallas Cowboys in the 70s. But every Batman needs his Robin. For Staubach, Hall of Fame running back Tony Dorsett filled in the role as his go-to sidekick. Dorsett led the Cowboys to a Super Bowl XII championship. He would play with the Cowboys for 11 seasons, from 77 to 87. That was before joining the Broncos for his swan song year in 1988. Dorsett and John Elway didn't mesh too well, however. Denver missed the playoffs, and Dorsett retired after rushing for 703 yards in his one season outside of Dallas. Detroit Lions, Dante Culpepper. The 3-time Pro Bowl quarterback spent his best years with the Minnesota Vikings. And of course, we all remember the Miami Dolphins cost the decision to trade for Culpepper rather than sign Drew Brees. Big yikes. Culpepper struggled mightily for the Dolphins in his lone season there, and he would join the Oakland Raiders in 2007. But did you know that Culpepper joined the Detroit Lions in 2008? He lost all of his 5 starts there as the Lions went 0-16. Culpepper also lost all 5 starts for the Lions in 2009, as rookie Matthew Stafford outplayed him and eventually secured the starting role. That would be Culpepper's final year in the NFL. Green Bay Packers, Jim McMahon. He's best known as the starting quarterback for the legendary '85 Chicago Bears team, home of the Super Bowl XX champions, plus the greatest defense ever. He then embarked on a career as a journeyman backup after leaving the Bears. People either forgot or they're simply unaware of the fact that he also added another Super Bowl ring with the arch-rival Green Bay Packers. That's right, he won Super Bowl 31 as Brett Favre's backup. That also marked the final season of his career. Houston Texans, Ed Reed. The 9-time Pro Bowl and Hall of Fame safety played with the Baltimore Ravens from 2002 to 2012. Following the team's Super Bowl 47 championship, they underwent a rebuild and allowed Reed to leave in free agency. The Texans signed Reed to boost their secondary, handing him a 3-year deal worth $15 million. But Reed struggled with his new team and was released mid-season as the Texans finished with the worst record in football. Reed would join the New York Jets for the remainder of the year before retiring. At least we got to see Reed and J.J. Watt together on defense for a short period. Indianapolis Colts, Andre Johnson. After terrorizing the Colts for 12 years as a member of the Houston Texans, Andre Johnson chose to join Andrew Luck and the Indianapolis Colts during his 2015 free agency. He inked a 3-year pact worth $21 million, and the Colts were a trendy pick to win the Super Bowl. Well, it didn't materialize that way. Johnson struggled mightily in what turned out to be a disastrous year for the Colts. He had a mere 41 receptions for 503 yards and 4 touchdowns. The Colts caught him after 1 year, and Johnson finished out his career with the Tennessee Titans in 2016. If he only signed with the Jaguars, then Johnson could have bragged about suiting up for all 4 AFC South teams. Jacksonville Jaguars, Torrey Holt. Holt was part of the greatest show on turf offense in St. Louis, along with Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, and Isaac Bruce. Holt was a 7-time Pro Bowler and played an integral role in the Rams' Super Bowl 34 championship season. He also led the league in receiving yards twice. After 10 years with the Rams, Holt joined the small market Jaguars for the 2009 season. It may have been a marketing ploy sort of thing, but Holt performed well with 51 receptions for 722 yards. Turned out to be the final season in his illustrious career, and he's still waiting for a call to the Hall. He's long overdue for an induction. Kansas City Chiefs, Warren Moon. Moon saw plenty of success in both the CFL and NFL. The Houston Oilers won his services in 1984, and the rest is history. Moon earned 9 Pro Bowl selections, becoming one of the most prolific passers of the 80s and 90s. He turned the Oilers into a perennial playoff contender after years and years of losing. After spending 10 years in Houston, Moon had short stops in Minnesota and Seattle. People often forgot that Moon actually finished his career with the Kansas City Chiefs. His stint there lasted from 99 to 2000. Moon only made 1 start before hanging up the cleats on his legendary career. But hey, the guy played until he was 44. We tip our hat to him. Los Angeles Chargers, Johnny Unitas. The NFL icon spent 17 seasons with the Baltimore Colts, winning 3 MVP awards while leading the team to a trio of NFL championships and 1 Super Bowl. Unitas was the greatest quarterback of his era, and he completely revolutionized the quarterback position. His resume truly speaks for itself. But the Colts made the difficult decision to let Unitas go after the 1972 season, knowing that he was well past his prime. Unitas chose to join the San Diego Chargers in 1973, but he lost 3 of 4 starts and had just 3 touchdowns against 7 picks. The legendary signal caller then retired, and it paved the way for Hall of Famer Dan Fouts to take over as the Chargers QB. Los Angeles Rams, Joe Namath. Football fans strictly associate Joe Namath with the New York Jets. He did lead them to their only Super Bowl victory ever over a half-century ago, and the Broadway Joe nickname stemmed from the fact that he played in New York. Well, here's a history lesson for you kids. Mr. Namath also suited up for the Rams in 1977, after spending 12 years with the Jets. But he was well past his prime, tossing 3 touchdowns and 5 picks in 4 starts. Namath retired after 1 year on the West Coast, and his tenure on the Rams was totally forgotten in rather short time. Miami Dolphins, Thurman Thomas. Jim Kelly, Andre Reed, and Thurman Thomas led the virtually unstoppable Buffalo Bills no-huddle offense in the 90s. This unit propelled Buffalo to 4 straight Super Bowl appearances, though they never took home the big one. Thomas earned 5 Pro Bowl selections, and he was a first-team All-Pro twice. After 12 years in Buffalo, Thomas joined the rival Miami Dolphins in 2000. That was for his swan song season. He only appeared in 9 games and tallied 136 yards and 0 touchdowns. Because of the lackluster numbers, Dolphins fans often forget that this all-time great actually finished out his career in South Beach. Minnesota Vikings, Rich Gannon. Look up the definition of late bloomer in the dictionary. You're gonna find Rich Gannon's name there. He finally broke out under head coach John Gruden with the Oakland Raiders in '99, earning his first Pro Bowl selection. Gannon would earn 2 Pro Bowl selections, and he won the MVP award in 2002 after throwing for 4,689 yards and 26 touchdowns. Gannon also led the Raiders to a Super Bowl 37 appearance. Ironically, they lost to the Gruden-coached Buccaneers in that game. The young Vikings fans today probably don't know that Gannon actually played for their team long ago. He was a backup who saw little playing time from '87 to '89, and then he became their starter from 1990 to '92 before moving on to the Washington Redskins. Imagine what kind of numbers Gannon would have put up with Chris Carter and Randy Moss. Big yikes. New England Patriots, ADALIUS Thomas. Not quite as dominant as Ray Lewis, but this linebacker was a key part of the Ravens' Super Bowl 35 championship team. The 2-time Pro Bowl linebacker left B. Moore to join Bill Belichick's star-studded Patriots in the 2007 offseason. Well, it turned out to be one of Belichick's rare free agency blunders. Thomas was on the Patriots team that nearly went 19-0 in 2007, but they blew their shot at a perfect season against the New York Giants in the Super Bowl. Thomas was cut by the Patriots in the 2010 season and never played football again. It's probably a good thing that Patriots fans forgot about Thomas playing on their team, because it was arguably the worst signing Belichick ever made. New Orleans Saints, Earl Campbell. His career only spanned from 1978 to '85, but Earl Campbell still carved out a Hall of Fame resume with the Houston Oilers. That included 5 Pro Bowl selections, 3 Offensive Player of the Year awards, plus the 1979 NFL MVP award. Campbell's best days came in Houston, so people often forget that the guy actually played for the New Orleans Saints from 1984 to '85. Campbell compiled 833 yards and 1 touchdown over his 2 years with New Orleans before retiring. Up to that point, he was one of the few Hall of Fame caliber players to ever play for the Saints, so it was a big deal, even if his tenure was short and sweet. New York Giants, Kurt Warner. 2-time MVP and Super Bowl 34 winner Kurt Warner lost his starting job to Mark Bulger in St. Louis. So he joined the New York Giants in the 2004 offseason, with the future Hall of Famer and rookie Eli Manning at the helm. The Giants were spoiled at quarterback, sort of. Warner made 9 starts for the Giants in 2004, winning 5 of them. But the Giants chose to hand the offense over to Manning, and Warner left free agency to join the Cardinals. But my God, Warner and Manning, 2 Super Bowl MVPs? Not many teams can say that they had a QB duo as legendary as the Giants did in 2004. New York Jets, Ronnie Lott. Joe Montana and Jerry Rice got most of the love, but the 49ers wouldn't have won 4 Super Bowls without Lott, arguably the greatest safety in NFL history. Lott spent his first 10 seasons with the 49ers, where he played from 1981 to 90. After 2 seasons with the Raiders, Lott joined the New York Jets in '93. He played there for 2 years before ultimately retiring following the '94 campaign. If only the Jets had Lott like 10 years earlier, then they would have been more relevant. Oakland Raiders, Eric Dickerson. The Hall of Fame running back had plenty of success with 2 teams, the Rams and the Colts. The 4-time rushing yards leader and 5-time first-team All-Pro also had a stop with the Raiders in '92, and everybody has apparently forgotten about it. Dickerson performed pretty well with the Raiders too. He had 729 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Dickerson would join the Falcons in '93, where he only saw 26 carries before retiring. Those Raiders fans were spoiled at running back, going from Mark Marcus Allen right to another Hall of Famer in Mr. Dickerson. Philadelphia Eagles, Ricky Watters. The powerful running back was a 5-time Pro Bowler, and he was instrumental in helping the 49ers win Super Bowl 29. He did a fine job in replacing 49ers legend Roger Craig as the lead running back, that's to say the least. The 90s weren't too kind to the Eagles, and many of their stars were overlooked. Thus it's hard to remember that he actually played 3 seasons with the Eagles, from 95 to 97. His 2 most productive seasons came in Philly as well. He spent his final season with the Seahawks before retiring. On a side note, can we put this man in the Hall of Fame already? Like, come on, he was brilliant. Pittsburgh Steelers, Plaxico Burress. The Steelers have rarely signed big-name free agents, nor have they made many blockbuster trades for short-term rentals. The point is this: the vast majority of Steelers greats spent a large portion of their careers with the team. So it's easy to remember the Terry Bradshaws, Troy Palomalus, Lynn Swans, Jerome Bettises, Ben Roethlisbergers, James Harrisons, and so on. But it's totally easy to forget that Super Bowl 42 hero Plaxico Burress suited up for the Steelers in 2 different stints. He joined them in his rookie 2000 season and played there for 5 years, before signing with the Giants. After being suspended for all of 2019 and 2010, Burress joined the Jets in 2011. He spent his final year in the NFL with the Steelers in 2012. Pretty fitting that Burress finished his career where it started. San Francisco 49ers, O.J. Simpson. The polarizing Hall of Famer spent the majority of his career with the Buffalo Bills, winning the 1973 MVP award and leading the NFL in rushing yards 4 times. In the twilight of his career, the Juice was traded to the 49ers in 1978. Buffalo received a package of draft selections in return. Simpson was rather unproductive in his final 2 seasons and retired following the 1979 campaign. Seattle Seahawks, Jerry Rice. Everybody associates the name Jerry Rice with the San Francisco 49ers, and we obviously can't forget about his stop with the Oakland Raiders, where Rice guided them to a Super Bowl 37 appearance. But it's easy to forget that Rice suited up for the Seahawks during the 2004 season after the Raiders traded him. He started 9 games for the Seahawks, but was a non-factor. The Denver Broncos signed Rice in 2005, but he chose to retire before the start of the season. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Darrelle Revis. The New York Jets couldn't reach a new deal with All-Pro corner Darrelle Revis, so he was dealt to the Bucs in the 2013 offseason for 2 draft picks, one of them being used on future Pro Bowler Sheldon Richardson. Tampa then gave Revis a 6-year extension worth $96 million, but he struggled in their defensive schemes and wasn't much of a factor. Despite the high price tag, Tampa chose to cut Revis after 1 season, and he signed with the Patriots, won a Super Bowl, then made his way back to the Jets before closing out his career in Kansas City. Tennessee Titans, Randy Moss. Everybody knows that Moss' career started with the Minnesota Vikings. Who can forget his 2-year stop in Oakland, or his incredible and historic 4-year stay in New England? But hold on, Moss suited up for the Titans in 2010. Yeah, he totally did that. Forgot about that. Yeah. The Patriots traded Moss to Minnesota during the 2010 season, but he was waived after playing in just 4 games. The Titans scooped up Moss, and he started 4 games for them. Moss sat out 2011, but played 1 more year for the 49ers in 2012 before retiring for good. Washington Redskins, Shaun Alexander. The powerful workhorse running back played with the Seahawks from 2000 to 2007. Alexander was a 3-time Pro Bowler and took home the 2005 MVP award, leading Seattle to a Super Bowl 40 appearance. But after back-to-back frustrating seasons, Alexander was released in 2008, and he signed with the Redskins. Alexander only appeared in 4 games and had 11 carries for 24 yards. He was out of the NFL soon after. What other players do people often forget played for your favorite NFL team? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media. We post great content all the time. Subscribe to me on YouTube. I post videos as well. And subscribe to TPS on YouTube because we post videos all the time. New sports content all the time. If you like this video, give it a like. Takes 1 click. Of course, thank you so much for watching. I'm Jason Biondo. I'll see you next time.
My knee.